say these days. Those youth and their youthiness.
Yeah, it's mostly a lot of like brain rot stuff these days, you know?
That's true. Which,
I
is
mean, we
a
had brain rot back in the
oh,
day,
we had
but
so much. We had the best brain rot. Are you
I
kidding?
I do agree with that.
Um,
I think a lot of it was because like this is going to sound so strange, but I think that brain rot of the past was like bespoke, right?
mm,
Versus like brain rot of today is just like what's the first thing that hits the algorithm? That's what becomes the brain rot, but like it's not
that's
most of
true.
the time it's not even actually good, but people are like kind of like blinded by it and they go, "Oh, well, it's got a million views. It must be funny. It must be good."
Yeah.
So we
Where we
must
had
say
like
6, 7,
I,
you
I,
know?
I six though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, I feel like our brain rot was more creative and
Yeah.
more like there had to be some more work to it other than here, let me do this dance and
Yeah.
then post
We
it to
were
the internets.
we were talking the other day about like Homestar Runner, right? Which was like
Yes.
weekly you were getting brain rot, but like it was
Creative brain
new
rot.
and creative and challenging. And like
Mhm.
some of that stuff, I feel like, you might think that you have forgotten, but then you hear, everybody to the limit, the cheat is to the limit. Come on, the for God, right? It's like, and like you're instantly like, oh my God, yeah, I do remember that, right? It's
This is the
crazy.
earth. It's a sweet earth, you might say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I've always loved those sorts of things. They are so good at like at those sorts of like bits and stuff. And I feel like, we got stuff like that like constantly on the regular and they were like updating it. And I feel like even if it was brain rot, I feel like people were like, what can like we really like hook people with? But nowadays it's just like I'm just gonna say something. Maybe
I'm
it'll be
gonna
a thing. Like they
say
they try
something
to
that
make it a thing.
make you angry
Yeah, a little bit.
because I'm gonna trigger you and whatnots
Yeah, there's
is
also a lot
the
of like rage
triggering.
bait stuff. We've gotten
That's
too
true.
far into rage bait again.
We've gotten too far into just the certain levels of stupid that we just can't seem to get away from. It's kind of driving me a little bit crazy. But, you know, what can
I
you
will
do?
say, like before we jump into the actual thing, I've
Yeah.
got to find the video. I'll send it to you if I can find it. But I'll never forget. I think it was last summer. Someone
Mm,
sent me a video and they're like, "Oh shit, nature is healing. Jackass 2.0 just dropped." And it's like four like 12 and 13-year-old kids like over their summer break all had like fucking stupid nicknames. Like one of them I think was like no joke like Stank Master. Um, and like like they were all just like going by some stupid nickname, but they
hmm.
were like doing dumb jackass like stunts like in the
Yeah.
woods behind their house. And I was like, kids are going outside and getting hurt again. Like this is it
You know
sounds
what? I
like
can
I'm
applaud
being
that.
yeah, it's like I'm not saying that like, I'm not saying I want kids to be hurt, but I'm saying like they're taking like risks, but like in the way that like kids do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like that's what you want to see. And it's like that's awesome. I love that. Like kids being like, "Can I
Honestly,
jump this creek? We'll find out.
let's
Here's
see
a
what happens.
here's a ramp I made out of like two by fours and like,
Piece of
some rusty
plywood.
sheet metal and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, well, that is not nailed down at all. So this is
Piece
gonna
of
go badly.
plywood and some cinder blocks.
Hmm. And then they do
You
anything.
know?
They're like, that's awesome. And they're like freaking out. It's great.
They're outside now. It's so
Yeah,
nice to see kids outside in nature
it
and
is.
just kind of, like I used to trek through the woods around my house, like hitting the ground with a stick, and then, ground bees came up and stung the shit out of me. Then I stopped doing that because it
You learned
sucked.
your lesson.
I learned
Yeah.
my lesson. Maybe inside's not so bad. So, dang ground bees. Maybe that's why I work in pest control. I mean,
Mm.
it makes sense.
Yeah. You
But
found your
fuck them
nemesis
bees.
early.
I did. And now I'm legally allowed to get rid of them.
There you go.
Welcome back to another episode of First, Last, and Best. As you can see, this is not the episode that we had talked about last week. At the end of last week's episode, I did say that the aim was to do a band you should know episode with Flying Raccoon soon. Unfortunately, I had some issues come up and I was not able to get that recorded. That's not on the band. That's totally on me. Hopefully, I will have them on at some point. This is basically turning into the new cursed episode. We were able to get rid of the curse for Caitlin's episode. Now this episode is cursed, just because it's like the second or third time we've been trying to get this done. But hey, maybe on the road to Supernova, we'll get or maybe hey, coming up June 18th, we'll be seeing them at the Camel in Richmond because they're playing with Jer and Bad Operation and Kill Lincoln for
Okay,
the
cool.
Bad Time Records tour. That's gonna be fucking insane. I
It's gonna be
can't
a good
believe
show.
it. Yeah, it's gonna be a fantastic show because they just did the West Coast swing and it was I think 2:30 opened for
Mm,
that for one half of the tour, but it doesn't matter. But
mm.
Flying Raccoon Suit is going to be at the uh Bad Time Records tour that's coming to the Camel in Richmond. If you are in the area or close to the area, I can't. The tickets are still on sale. It's not sold out. I can't recommend more highly this show because it is going to be absolutely insane. If you like ska music, this is a show to go to. If you're, this is probably going to be the best ska lineup I've seen outside of Super, and that's fucking saying something. So, but as you can see, Colin is here from Timeline Scavengers and amongst other things, and he is joining us because I put out a distress signal because we needed an episode for this week, and Colin actually answered very quickly, and he was like, "Absolutely, let's go. What are we doing?" And I said, "I don't know." I had no ideas. We're just like, I pick a band or pick a topic, we'll go ahead and record it. It'll be fine. And I have a couple ideas locked away that I had considered doing. But then Colin came up with something. He's like, I have some things written down. Let me tell you. And one of them seems kind of perfect. And I felt like it was something that needed to be discussed. That topic is if we were to make the soundtrack for Tony Hawk Pro Skater, what would we put on it? Holy shit, dude. Literally, out of any idea I've come up with, I love this better. It just, first off, Tony Hawk Pro Skater was one of my favorite games when I was younger.
Yeah, same.
Even to this day, I bought I was just like flipping around on the PlayStation Store like a year or two ago, and the bundle, the one and two, were on sale. I think it was like
Yeah,
$12 or something like that. And I was like, buy, absolutely. And so I will play it. And while I will listen to the actual soundtracks that are on the game, I do have a tendency to like put on my own music
yeah, totally.
and play. So when you came up with this idea, I was like, holy shit, an opportunity to curate our own set list for Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It's not like it's
Yeah,
actually going to be on the game, but at the same
right.
time,
Of course.
yeah.
Because, with like even just like off rip, right? Like I could tell you there's a couple tracks on here that I don't think would necessarily be Tony's like steez, right? But like I
Yeah,
know they're my steez, but like it's the same thing as like I grew up on those soundtracks and I do love those soundtracks a lot. There are a couple tracks where sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'll keep it on, but sometimes I might
yeah,
go, I think I might move past this. And like, for example, like I know this is gonna be such a dumb brag, but to be clear, it's like something that anyone could do for a while. At one point, he was like really doing a lot of like community outreach during like COVID times because like no one was doing anything. So he had a number that you could just text. And if like the thought or the question kind of was like, I don't know, thought provoking and wasn't just like, hey, just want to say I'm a big fan. Um, and I'm sure even those probably got some form of response, but like he was
yeah.
responding to a lot of people. So I've, exchanged a few text messages with Tony Hawk in the past. Um, and one of the big ones for me was I was like, hey, grew up on the soundtrack, love it a lot. just sort of curious, what are you listening to these days? Like if there was a new game, what would be on that soundtrack? And he gave me a bunch of recommendations, and some of them I had never heard of. Some of them
Yeah,
I was like, oh, awesome. And in my head going, I don't like that band that much. But then like, at one point he was like, there's a new Viagra Boys out that is actually like really been on repeat a lot recently. And I
okay,
listened to it and where I was like, I like it. I wasn't like, I love it. So like they didn't make the playlist. But like,
yeah,
still it's that concept. Like there's a lot of games from like the 90s and 2000s that are sports games that
yeah,
had soundtracks that were like Madden soundtracks, and like back in like the early 2000s were
yeah.
killer.
Yes, they were.
A lot of the NBA 2K playlists are also absolute
Yeah,
bangers. And then obviously Tony Hawk. So it's kind of like I feel like almost any sport game was leaning in on that Tony Hawk like energy a little bit of like we got to
yeah,
nail something that gets the right feel for this.
yeah.
And that's where
It's
this
like
sort of idea came from.
it's like when you're on like the info screens or something like that. There's music playing. There's something in the background,
Hmm.
and it's very much like, oh, like I remember. So the first game I remember there being an actual soundtrack was not Tony Hawk Pro Skater. It was NASCAR Racing '98 for PlayStation 1
Interesting.
because it was very much a lot of country music, a lot of like just like it's NASCAR. I mean, you know what kind of music they're listening to. So, but at the same time, so it was just like that's playing while you're like racing the
Yeah.
game. So it just very much like kind of that concept of a sports game having a soundtrack, having music that's
Yeah.
attached to it, that the song comes on even like when you're just listening, and
Hmm.
all of a sudden you're thinking of the game. It's like,
Crazy Taxi, I think also is like 99.
yes.
Also, like they were really heavy on offsprings in that one, but like still,
Listen.
like anytime I hear yeah, 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 I'm like
Yeah.
instantly like, oh my God, I'm driving down the craziest hills of like, I don't know, is it San Francisco? I don't know
I
what
think it
place Crazy
is.
Taxi takes place in,
Yeah.
but like I'm instantly like there and like locked in on that stuff
Yeah.
uh like off rip. And so it's like that, like WWE.
Yep.
I think the older like was it not Big Show? What's the NBA the show? Not NBA, sorry.
NBA,
Uh
MLB the show.
MLB. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Um I was like I had to like pantomime a bat to get there. But like I feel like they also obviously have music in there. I just don't know
Yes.
when they started putting it in. But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. It just all of a sudden it's just like,
kind of just came together. Everyone just
yeah,
started doing it.
and it's worked out pretty well. I
It
mean,
really
it's also
has.
kind of elevated bands too that you may not have
Definitely.
heard, but you want to play that one game and then you start listening to that music. So,
Hmm.
so, so with that in mind, I did have to enforce two rules for this particular list. The first rule is you can only use one track from past games. The other rule is once you use a band, you can't use the name. Like, say I pick a song by Bad Religion, I can't pick another song by Bad Religion.
Right.
Colin can,
Right.
but I cannot. So that way we're not like stuck on a crutch of, oh, I want to put this song by AFI, and oh yeah, here's another song by AFI, and hey,
Right.
did you use the song by AFI? I think that would go really well in this game.
It's tough
So
because like some bands really like to me like there are so many like lagwagon songs that could easily end up, and it's partially is because May 16
yeah,
is kind of paints that idea, but
yeah.
like lagwagon kind of to me is the sound of, I feel like that's like the perfect in the middle spot of all the bands that are in those soundtracks, like right in the middle.
I agree to an extent.
Yeah.
There's one other band that, especially for Tony Hawk Pro Skater, uh, is kind of like the band for me, which is
Mhm.
surprising because there's a lot of really great music
There are,
throughout
yeah.
between like the Ramones and Bad Religion and Alkaline Trio had an Armageddon in the soundtrack and
Millen Collins
AFI.
in there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I mean, there's so much. There's one band, and I guess that's where I'll start. I was originally going to let you
Go
start,
for it.
but this seems
No,
like a
no,
very
please do.
good.
Please do. It's your
This
show.
seems like a very good segue, and this is the only song that I will pick from past soundtracks. And it's one song that has become just so ingrained in my mind to what the game is, and that it's the one song I always want to hear when I'm playing the game. And if it doesn't come on at some point, I'm pissed off about it. And that's Superman by Goldfinger,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's where I first heard Goldfinger. And
Same.
that led me down the rabbit hole that is Goldfinger, and then seeing them live and getting Darren Pfeiffer's drumstick, and the drumstick said Darren Pfeiffer blows goats. I just have to have that out there in the world, because this was like back in like early 2000s. And but just it was such a great song that it really set me off down the not just pop punk, but ska punk kind of rabbit hole of bands that were out there. So if I have to pick one song, and it's hard to pick only one song, because that's just how good these soundtracks are. But to me, Superman by Goldfinger, that is the song that basically exemplifies Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I do agree with that. That is also like I think like if for me the Lagwagon was more of like of all the punk songs, that's the
Yeah.
middle. There's for me obviously like any of the ska songs like Superman's the most iconic.
Mhm.
Um, and like also like definitely like the middle point of the different types of ska that also exist.
That's true.
I had really considered, funny enough, for both of those bands that have now been mentioned, I had considered bringing back either one of their big hits that were on those. Because I know that Lagwagon's technically on there, I think twice, if not three times.
I think so, yeah.
Um, but like obviously I was like May 16, really love that song like a lot, like really, definitive. Also Superman, back in the day, two out of three ska bands that I've been in have covered that song. So it's kind of like, I mean, and it's because a lot of the times people don't even know where they know it from. They just know that
Yeah,
they know it. And so like you can kind of get the crowd like moving and grooving pretty easily with that.
that's true.
Um, that being said, like I liked for lack of a better term, like the stipulations that you had. But then I kind of challenged myself a little bit in terms of saying I might like bring back some of those bands, but I think I like at this point I want to do something that's like adjacent kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
I thought about doing Superman. I'm actually going to move my this pick just like up to the top of the list, so we'll both do Goldfinger first round, I guess.
Yep.
But I thought there's a couple other songs on Hang Ups, which is what that album is, or
Yep.
where that comes from, the album that comes from,
Yep.
that are, I mean, it's an incredible album, start to
It
finish.
really is.
But I really thought about Carlita is a really, really great
Mm.
one. But the one that I settled on was 20 Cent Goodbye. It also kind of has a little bit of a vibe of like My Skateboard by Aquabats. Like the guitar
Yeah.
track has some similarities to it, in my opinion, but
Okay.
also like the horn part in that song is just like it's got something really kind of grooving, and
Yeah.
it's short. Like it's just under 2 minutes. I like a lot of the songs that are like 3 minutes. I think sometimes is pushing it. I think the
Yeah.
longest song I have in my list is 3:46, but like everything else is like 2:45 or shorter, basically. So
Unfortunately,
yeah,
my list is not like that, because so most of my songs,
totally
some of my
valid
songs are,
though.
but there's a couple on there that, uh, and I'll go ahead and get into the first one, that I'm adding into this. And it's, it is, because I have a few songs on here that are not punk at all. And this one in particular, it's sped up. It's fantastic. The lyrics and the rhythms are amazing. And that's Bombs Over Baghdad by
Mm,
Outkast. And it like I will admit that earlier today I pulled out my PlayStation, and I put on Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and I listened to these songs as I was skating. And I was like, I needed to make sure that my list actually worked, that it could be the soundtrack of the game. And for this particular I forgot where it was. Uh, I don't remember which skate park I was in for this one. Maybe it was Chicago in the first game. I don't know. But it worked really well. And Outkast I've always been a very big fan of. Uh Hip hop and rap I don't listen to consistently, but listening to Outkast, listening to Wu-Tang Clan, Kendrick Lamar, um Bad Bunny recently because that guy is fucking phenomenal, dude. But I felt like I 100% needed an Outkast song in here, and Bombs Over Baghdad is easily probably the best song for this.
That's a solid pick. I do
Yeah.
like that a lot. Um, I so kind of hanging on to the same trend of what I had in that last one. I did want to bring in Lagwagon again, but Lagwagon is also one of those bands that's been around a pretty decent amount of time now.
Yeah.
And like, there's some bands that have somewhat shorter lived careers. So like you can kind of only point to like the late 90s, early 2000s. But Lagwagon, I think one of the most impressive things about them is that some bands settle on a sound and then it gets stale.
Mm.
Lagwagon has always sounded exactly the same, and it never is like, oh, great, another album of this. You're kind of like always like, oh shit, yes,
Yeah.
Lagwagon is back. And they're so consistent. Joey Cape is just like right on the money.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and so the most recent album that they have is at this point, I'm realizing now is like 7 years old, which is crazy to me. Because it doesn't feel that old. But
No.
2019's Railer,
Okay.
fun album. Got a good cover in there from a Journey song, which is fun. But I really like the song Bubble. Bubble
Ooh.
is, I think, maybe the best track on that one. It's got some pretty great lyrics. It's got a good little bass hook in the beginning. There's like just like a little
Mhm.
drum fill in the beginning, and then the bass just kind of goes nuts. But I think what also made this song stand out to me is that part of this song is about reminiscing to old times, right? So like the point of the song is like, we're in the van on tour. Um, and it's still 1992, like here in our bubble, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, we are listening to the same tapes, that like we always used to. So it's like it's always throwback. So it's like Sam I Am, Jawbreaker, Mr. T Experience, right?
Yeah.
So like all that kind of stuff, like that's the kind of stuff that they mention within these songs, like really kind of getting back into that. And I was like, that's also fun to then have Lagwagon, who was there for the original soundtracks, reminisce about the time. And I was like, it feels like a full circle thing. So that's where I went on that second pick.
Nice. I like that. That's definitely a good direction to go in. And I feel like at this point, I've gone ska punk, I've gone hip hop. I feel like now it's time to go to a different end of the spectrum. And for this particular track, this is when the band was still fairly heavy and easily one of the best songs on this album. Not the best song. I still hold a different song near and dear to my heart, but I have to go with Deadbolt by Thrice. It
Mm,
has that great guitar part at the beginning, and it just speeds so quickly that when you're playing the game, it definitely picks up your adrenaline. And it's like, especially when you're playing more of like uh the mall in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1,
uh-huh.
or uh I forgot the other one that's like those downhill, not like you're skating around a skate park, you're like going downhill and you're basically forced to try and finish within the time constraints.
Right. Right.
So something like this that is moving so fast musically just seems like the kind of perfect song for a level like that. So so yeah, I have to go Deadbolt by Thrice. Great song too. I still think To Awake and Avenge the Dead is probably the best track on that album, but Deadbolt for the purposes of curating a good soundtrack for Tony Hawk Pro Skater, I would have to go with it on this one.
I'm down with that. Yeah. Um, so then also like I don't know, like some of this stuff is maybe not quite as well rounded as yours. But again, it's all about kind of the
No,
vibes of
it's
everyone. But I feel like some of the same way that I miss those games and like kind of how I felt during those times. There's a band that's no longer around because unfortunately their lead singer passed away. And so the band, disbanded. But every now and then I'll like this is a band that's always kind of on, in the mix somewhere for me. But every now and then I go on a real big kick on this and I go, I do miss this a lot. And that's No Use for a Name. Um, and so
so good.
I added in the Feel Good Song of the Year, which is from the Feel Good Record of the Year.
Nice.
Um, but it has like it's got a couple different things I think works for it, which is slightly like not like heavy, right? But like it's not as like bright and happy as you typically think pop punk is going to be. This is the slightly more edgier side of those things,
Yeah.
but also starts with like a tried and true pop punk classic, which is an audio clip from a movie
Yep.
before you get into, I do miss those days. I miss just like not giving a shit about copyright law and being like, throw the sample in. Um, or even like at the end of the things
Ah,
like Lagwag and
copyright
like play an
law.
A for Steve,
Hey.
fuck this shit. I'm out. What's wrong with
Ah,
him? He can't take criticism. Well, great. There goes the band. And the next song he plays. Like that's the kind of stuff that I miss
yeah,
that stuff. Um, so yeah, like No Use for Name, feel good song of the year.
that's
Classic.
a very good pick. So I can go one of two directions here. I can either go to tried and true ska
Hmm.
or old school punk.
Mm,
I feel like I should go old school punk since I did more of that ska punk with the first choice. Um, but both of these songs are just so fucking good. Uh, let's go ahead and go with old school punk because if we're gonna curate, because you need some good old school punk. You
I would
need,
agree.
yes, 100%. So let's go back to the 80s. Let's go back to where Eagles Dare by the Misfits,
Okay.
which I love that song. It's one of my favorite Misfits songs of all time. Uh, Still, when you had Glenn Danzig in the band, this is golden era Misfits. Uh, it's just it's where Eagles Dare. That song is so I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch, and that just as far as the game is concerned, you could put that song on at any level, and it's just a good fucking time. So, so yeah, I have to go Misfits because I had to pull at least one Misfits song on this. I'm looking at my list though, and I will say that I don't have any Bad Religion on my list, which I'm kind of disappointed in myself in.
Interesting.
But at the same time, there are some uh like obviously um I have a couple repeat bands, but not many. I was trying to go with like different bands that hadn't been on,
Mm,
or maybe
hmm.
if they had, like, you know, choose a different song. But I was trying to mostly stick to bands that haven't been on a soundtrack for Tony Hawk before. So, and I don't think Misfits have. I could be wrong, but I don't think they have. So,
Mm.
all
I
right.
don't, yeah, I'm not placing it,
No,
Um, yeah.
but
Okay. So for me up next, this one's a newer track. I also, by the way, just so I'll get part of my bit out of the way in a way. I also, for a brief moment, really considered making sure that my playlist didn't have any of the bands that I couldn't have from the draft. Um,
okay.
but then having three bands that I desperately wanted not being able to be represented did make me pretty bummed. So and I can't do that bit anymore. I was like,
You
I'm
don't need to do that.
not with
That's
it.
fine.
Um, so I did cave a little bit, and I did put an Alkaline Trio song on.
Nice.
And I did something that's like not quite as like bright as some of the overall extent has been recently. And I
Mhm.
went with Hot for Preacher, which is off the newest one, the Blood, Hair, and
Ooh,
Eyeballs.
yeah,
That one's like it kicks off the album so that that way you know it's got like a strong energy.
that's true.
And it's got like a good hook. Plus you've got just a patented uh like ethereal Matt Skiba like higher, melody like in like the
Yeah,
beginning that just sort of fills in some of that space you know, before the actual like song or before the lyrics I guess really kick in.
yeah, I love
That's
that.
yeah, it's a great
That's a
song.
great pick. Ooh, dude, this is going really well.
Yeah, I can picture dropping in on this song. Like
Yeah,
that's how I feel this one.
that's awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to ska because I did just the Misfits. And this is round five, and we said we're only going to do 5 songs, but I feel like we're cruising, so let's just keep rolling
Yeah,
until we get bored and don't feel like doing this anymore.
I
So,
agree.
so I have to go a little bit older school ska, and Don't Let the Bastards Grind You Down by the Toasters.
Yep. Yeah.
Like there was a couple ska songs I was thinking of. I had like the Aquabats. I was thinking of. I had
Hmm.
like some real big fish. But just the thought of the Toasters and specifically this song just felt right for more of like a skating type game or something like that.
Yeah.
Just it feels kind of like the fact that it hasn't been there yet bothers me a little bit, but at the same time, I'm glad it hasn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to pick it because
Mm.
it's one of the Toasters' better songs. I think when I did that episode with Kevin from the Plastic Flamingos, um, that turned out really well. That was definitely my top three. Uh, so yeah, great song. I love the Toasters. They're so good.
Same. Yeah. That was also like, so I've got definitely like a bunch of honorable mentions, which I think I'm probably going to end up holding on to for like, if we ever come back to this and like do it again kind of
And do
thing.
it, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because I definitely have probably about 18 songs sitting off to the side. And some of them are like, I've got
yeah,
two songs by this one band. I don't know which one to pick, that kind of thing,
yeah.
But yeah, I really did think about like an specifically that song as well by the Toasters. I
Nice,
really thought about that one. Um, or Weekend in LA also
nice.
was
Another
also
great
like at the
song.
top of my list when I was thinking about possibly bringing in the Toasters. Um, just to throw this out there, one of my honorable mentions also would have been Little Bitch. Um, maybe actually the Big D and the Kids Table cover of that song because
Ooh,
like that one is a
very good choice.
pretty fun one.
Damn,
And
I don't have any
also
big D on this
no
either.
one really ever talks about Big D and the Kids Table anymore, I feel like.
That's
And that's
sad.
kind of also a reason why I thought about it, but then I was like, I just, I didn't want to, I wasn't ready to commit just yet. Sorry, Big
That's
D.
true. I was gonna
Um,
say we almost did a big D in the kids table episode for
mm,
because oh my goodness. One of Jeff's friends, Kristen, uh we were gonna do big D in the kids table. And then it just so many things it's another one of those cursed episodes I have. So we ended up not doing it, which it's kind of sucks. But Kristen, if you listen to this, if you ever want to do the episode, Summer of Ska's coming up, I'll get you in. Don't worry about it. Let's do it. Big D in the
yeah,
kids table.
it's
Because
a, it's a
it
good
was
one to
some fun
cover.
listening. So
Um, it's funny that you do a summer series about ska because I have also been doing like a summer series on ska. That's
nice.
like for a content group that I'm a part of. It's like it's part of our paywall stuff. Which is like somewhat unfortunate, but like it's all the bonus content because it's like it's not enough to do a full show of, but
Yeah.
like we do it like for fun kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's Rude Boy Summer
Oh,
is
nice.
is what the name of that little
Yeah.
show is. And every year we at first we were like, let's do an entire album. Then we're like, sometimes we're gonna go through some of the best ones way too quick. So like we
That's
started doing it like maybe a song or two or
yeah.
whatever, you know. But yeah, I did a big D in the kids table specifically about
I
that version of
I
the song.
think last year we did because it was all first, last, and best. I really hadn't come up with many concepts for the show yet. I think we did like 6 or 7 episodes, and then we ended it with bands you should know, which then eventually transformed into its how it is now, where it's actually talking with bands.
That's really
But
cool though.
it was a lot of fun. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and I've got a lot of really good ideas for this year for our road to Supernova, which we will get into once we get closer to July,
Hmm.
because we'll be kicking that off after the 4th of July. Because I have a lot of ideas that I really want hope we can do, including the Amnesia Draft, featuring just all artists that are going to be at Supernova.
That's really cool.
So
I do really like that one.
that's gonna be a lot of
Um,
fun.
and I'll
Anyways,
keep the
what's your song?
I'll say I'll keep the trend going a little bit, right? I'm kind of reordering some of my playlists just to kind of keep the narrative going. But since we're talking about ska, actually, I'll move the only other ska song on this playlist currently up. This is another band that like didn't last very long, but I wish they had because I
Appreciate
really liked what they had going on, and that's the Hippos.
it.
I
Ooh,
chose the
very
song
nice.
"Lost It."
Nice.
Really, really powerful little tune on that one. Um, and that's a band that like kind of did something similar to the Aquabats, which is they kind of went synth poppy in a way for a bit.
Hmm.
That's probably what ended up really causing the end. But like even that was still like a really good album. But I really loved the Heads Are Gonna Roll album. That
Very
is just incredible production on that album.
absolutely. So I never really listened to the Hippos before. Like here and there, I had heard them, and there was the Hippos were actually one of the bands that Jeff talked about in bands you should know. And I was like, okay, these it's really good. I enjoy it. And when we were at Supernova last year, there was a copy of Heads Will Roll someone was selling. I think it was like 30, $40 or something like that. And Jeff was like, hey, Ron, there's a Hippos vinyl. You
Oh,
should
you
get
have
it.
it on vinyl. That's
So
sick. I was expecting like CD.
I
That's
bought
cool.
no, I don't collect CDs. The only like
Yeah.
actual physical media that I collect
These
is
days,
vinyl.
same. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just I having grown up with vinyl in my parents' house,
Hmm.
like I have that vinyl nostalgia kick going on right now. I
Yeah.
don't understand cassette tape nostalgia. I don't understand CDs, mostly because I had those, especially growing up, and I wasn't a huge like they were fine for the time,
Hmm.
but it wasn't my bag. And if I'm gonna collect something, there's just something about vinyls that still does it for me.
I'm
So
not like huge on collecting cassettes, but like there is something that I do like about them a little bit. Like I still have a few. It's probably hard to see from this angle, but there's a few on this one shelf down there. But like
nice.
I think especially like it's also kind of what inspired this too, actually, really when I think about it, like playlists and like mixtapes
Yeah.
in cassettes. Like that was like the first time that you could really reliably and like for not too expensive, like as a you know in our youth, make a your own mix and have it with you. And there was one that like my cousin had made that lived in my grandfather's car, and we listened to that thing from front to back many times,
Nice.
like over a decade before the CD, before the tape just I guess disintegrated or something. I don't know. Just like
Yeah.
one day it just like didn't exist and like
It's
no
like
one really
no
knew where it
longer wanted
went.
to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's possible that it broke and like he just never wanted to say anything about it. But like I know that when we were like cleaning out the house and getting rid of stuff, we were like desperately trying to find that tape. It was like an ancient relic, it felt like, you know?
Felt like Indiana Jones just
A little
looking for the
bit.
tape. Yeah. Mhm.
Exactly.
All right. So I think let's go 2 more rounds.
Oh, two more. Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay, three. How about can you do
That
three?
I can do three.
Okay, then let's do three. Just because I do have to wake up in the morning since my wife is out of town
That's fair. That's
and get my
fair.
son ready for school. So So with that being said, I'm gonna go with I chose Bombs Over Baghdad because it is literally one of the best hip hop songs of probably the last 20, 30 years. I am now gonna go with a group that may be one of the more influential in some circles of the last 5 years, and that is HOOD by Kneecap.
Hmm. Okay. I'm
Have
not familiar
you
with that one, actually.
Kneecap is a hip hop group from, I'm pretty sure they're from the Republic of Ireland. I don't think they're
Oh,
from Northern
okay. Wow.
Ireland. Um, they are very, very left leaning. They are very outspoken when it came to the bombings in Gaza. Very, very outspoken on their beliefs that Northern Ireland should be back and a part of the Republic of Ireland and not under British rule. Um, they've been banned from playing shows in England. Um, the incredible, incredible music, and HOOD is a fantastic song that if you're gonna go putting like hip hop or rap or anything like that a into a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game and you need to go that more modern route, this is the song you should go with.
I
I mean,
like that.
obviously
Yeah.
you could go with Kendrick and you can go with I mean, there's plenty of songs that you can look at and pick from and easily put onto the soundtrack. But there's something about this song that just it's something different and it's definitely something that I would easily put onto a soundtrack. So,
Sick. Yeah. I'm with it. I'm with it.
I'll send it to you because
Yeah, no, please do. Yeah, yeah, because I
if
will
you
definitely
like rap
forget.
hip hop something like that,
Yeah.
it's a fun song to listen to, and it's very apparent just how much they don't like England.
That's
Um,
awesome. I like that.
so
I appreciate that too. Like that part alone is kind of what sells me, you know?
yeah,
Um, okay, so I'm rearranging once again, and I'm gonna
yeah,
put so I've for the last three, I'm gonna have two very new ones and then one like within the last like decade kind of thing.
okay,
So we were talking about kind of like the bands you should know thing, right? For this show.
yeah,
It's very funny because again, like there's stuff that you and I have done from before we met each other that is like so adjacent. And then like we met and it's like, wow, this does make sense. This works out very well because we're in a very similar headspace, right?
it's true.
So like I do Twitch streams, right? And so
Yeah,
then on Friday, because that's when Spotify updates their playlists for all new music.
yeah,
And then some of those obviously are also separated into genres as well. We do a show where we blind listen and rank all new punk songs. And so that's
nice.
introduced me to like so many new artists. And some of them aren't even like all that new. They're just like new to me, you know?
Yeah,
But some of these groups are pretty new, like this next one, which is also, I'm going to try and remember the correct order of this. So they are Gumx, Gumx, and I believe they are a Korean band that is represented by a Japanese label. I might have that
oh
backwards,
damn,
but I don't know if you've ever heard of this band, but there was a band called Dradnats. They're still around too
yeah,
as well, but Dradnats is just standard backwards. But Dradnats is a Japanese band that I believe is on the same label. And the minute I heard this song, I was like, I'm transported back to like 2011 and like their like first EP, the Dradnats group. And so, Are You Ready to Go Now is the song that I picked by Gumx. And
okay,
just like I'll also send you that one. When you hear the
please,
intro to that one alone, you'll be like, I totally get why this is in this. Like it is balls to the wall energy, speed, and like just it kicks off instantly and does not stop.
that's
It's
that's
maybe one of the fan favorites of the show since we started doing it.
first and foremost. I love that idea. that concept of let's blind listen to music and rank it. That is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I've never done that before, and I may have to steal that from you.
Go
Um,
for it. Yeah. It's a fun thing. Like, because just to be
yeah,
clear, like I know I'm not like, starting that trend. Like I know that's like a thing that
no,
happens.
it's
Or
yeah,
sometimes people just do the thing of I'm gonna name you five things, but you don't know what comes after, rank it without knowing,
yeah,
right? And we always like to do a thing too, where we also negotiate because sometimes I'm like, I know this is a thing that like everyone's working on collaboratively. I am kind of begging for this to be number one. This is easily my favorite thing we've heard in a long while.
yeah,
Sometimes people will let me then put it at one.
yeah,
But we also do a thing where after we're done, if we think that maybe something isn't right, because you can't move something once you've locked it in. But
yeah.
after we're done and after we have the original five, we then re-rank things now knowing what we know
Now knowing what you
and
know,
we
what would it be?
compare how close did we get. Sometimes it's nowhere near,
That's
and sometimes like only two songs flipped or one song moved down and two
that's such
came
a
up.
cool idea. I
Yeah, it's
love
pretty
that.
fun.
I love that. All right. So who left? Hmm. All right. I have to go because there's two songs I have left, and I have four on the list, and I have to pick two. And I just want a quick honorable mention to the two songs that I'm not picking, and that's "You Want It, You Got It" by Rancid
Ooh,
and
mhm.
"Gainesville Rock City" by Less Than Jake. But I just feel
Great
like
choice.
I,
That's
I just feel like there's two more that I think could easily and kind of exemplify the more like last 10, 15 years of music.
yes.
And um
Gainesville was on my short list, but didn't make
yeah,
my total list. But I
yeah.
also had played that earlier
Gainesville's
today, thinking about it.
such a oh my God.
It's a great song.
So I am gonna go for this one. Here We Go by the Bouncing Souls.
That's okay. That is crazy. I also almost picked that. I also almost picked Gone by the Bouncing Souls. Um, which is from
Our
How
brains
I
are
Spent My Summer
connected.
Vacation. Yeah, that's crazy.
Connected. I've been listening to a bit of the Bouncing Souls lately, and because I have 10 Stories High,
Hmm.
How I Spent My Summer Vacation, and I have one of their acoustic albums, which I
Ooh.
love a good acoustic album because probably what has become one of my favorite songs by the Bouncing Souls is Ghosts on the Boardwalk, and
Hmm.
that's on
Hmm.
there.
Okay,
I
I know that.
love that song.
I didn't
It
know
is
they had an acoustic
so
album,
good.
so I'm gonna have to go look that up.
There's two, because I have volume
Oh
two. I
my
need
God.
volume one.
Okay.
Because there's that, and I really want to get Damnesia by Alkaline Trio,
Yeah. Yeah.
their acoustic album. If I can find that on vinyl, I will
Yeah,
be a
man.
happy camper. Because that
That'd
is
be
such a
good.
good album.
It's
But
good.
I wanted the Bouncing Souls on here very badly. Uh, and out of all of them, this seemed just kind of perfect for that, like really like upbeat uh skate punk, just like throw it on and let's go.
Yeah,
It
man.
just it
Totally.
just it feels like it would perfectly accentuate um a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have to do this again because, like,
Oh
kind of like you
God,
were saying, like you have four more, but you can only pick two. Like I said, I put a total of 18 songs in this playlist and then kind of
that's
moved them
that's a lot.
around throughout the
Yeah,
course of today, like while I was doing stuff and going, I like that, but maybe I'll save that for like if we do it again, kind of
we're
thing,
definitely
right?
doing this again.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know when,
I
but we're
also
definitely doing it again.
like I kept my Less Than Jake and I kept my Blink 182 for a next time just to show that I've got range,
Yeah,
just because
good,
those are
good.
some of my favorite bands does not mean that they're the only bands I listen to.
Yeah.
Um, and so also similar to the last song of like something that I discovered through the new punk show. I discovered through the new punk show during a time where they put out I guess it's still a single, but it was like a split, not a split either. It's just they just put
Hmm.
two songs out at the exact same time. But it's not really an EP either because it's just so short.
Yeah.
But No Pressure, really good band. Really love
Okay.
what they're up to. Their first like LP is just a self-titled No Pressure.
Yeah.
And then this like kind of dual singles situation had two songs on it, Wearing Thin, which is also great, but the one I chose is good enough because of like threefold. One, incredible energy. It's less than 2 minutes. Um, Good Enough was also a song. Sorry, I had written a song called Good Enough back when I was in high school. It's so
Yeah,
cringy. It's so very clearly, I'm 16 and I just got broken up, um, or just
it's one
got
of those
dumped rather.
songs.
But then also the ending of Good Enough by No Pressure 100% has a Sum 41 like reference in it,
Oh,
because
nice.
they reference one of their lyrics, like not, it's not like a direct rip, but it's like very clearly like this is another way of saying this thing, and then it runs into the same way that they do like their sort of vocal ending of
Hmm.
another piece sorry, of that same piece, which I think is just a nice little touch. It just feels like an homage to like a
Yeah,
band that they, that they really like, and so like I also like Sum 41. So Good Enough by No Pressure, great song, one of my
I'll have to go
favorite
listen to that
singles
too.
of 2025.
Nice. Okay. You're giving me some stuff that you gave me homework.
There
Thank
you
you, sir.
go.
I do
You're
love some
welcome.
good homework. All right. So this is the last song on my list. And when I said that, we really need so I looking for songs that kind of perfectly exemplify the modern punk rock or just it's kind of hard to like for this particular album that this song came out on, they were definitely considered more pop punk. And it's one of those bands that I talk about every single time that I pull out an episode. And that's the Wonder Years. Because originally I was thinking about doing
I was wondering when it was going to hit.
the Wonder Years version of Deadbolt. I had considered that for a brief moment, but then it's just like because I listened to it and I'm like, it's good, but Thrice does it so much better just because it is the original. But
Hmm.
I think if I'm gonna put a Wonder Years song on here, eh, like I went through a few. Year of the Vulture, God Damn It All. Uh, I think Door I Painted Shut was another one. A couple from the first album, but there's really only one song you can really pick from the Wonder Years if you're going to put it onto a Tony Hawk Pro Skater album, and that's Came Out Swinging. It is such a great song. It
Yeah,
has such a great beginning. It is a really, really just kind of perfectly fits, especially for the list I made and curating that list. This just fit the mold and what I was looking for. So my last track is Came Out Swinging by the Line.
a great one. Love that song.
Absolutely. Such a good song.
That is, I think, my favorite song by them. I really think that the first like four tracks in a row, why do I like whistle on that? The first like four tracks there, really almost like in sync, like or like back to back kind of thing,
Yeah.
is like such a perfect run. I Not that the rest of the album isn't also, but like there's just something about that stack specifically that
Oh
just
yeah.
really, really hits every time.
Suburbia is such a great album
It
too.
really is, yeah.
I mean, it's like honestly, the only album that I've by the Wonder Years that I really did not get into fully was Sister Cities. And even that I
Hmm.
listened to a few times and it was like, it's good, but
Yeah,
it's the Wonder Years have such a high bar for great albums. I mean, The Hum Goes On Forever, Greatest
yeah.
Generation, No Closer to Heaven. They have the the bar is so high that you're not going to hit it every single time.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like I think about that all the time with some bands where it's like, well, I don't like this as much as the last album or whatever, or because like sometimes a band puts out like a perfect album and it's like you're never gonna hit that high again, but like you can
No,
still really enjoy it. Like that doesn't make the album bad, right? Like to me, like there's never gonna be a Blink-182 album that's even gonna come close to Enema of the State. But like there are still so many good things on like every album,
that's
even
true.
if they're not my favorites, right? Like
Yeah,
don't come for me, but Untitled to me is not one of my favorites. Like it is in the bottom of the tier list for me.
yeah,
But it's also because like I don't know, maybe because of the age that I was at, and I was like, I don't think I'm ready for change. Like
yeah,
it was so drastically different that I just wasn't feeling it. But like that's funny. Now that I say that out loud, but yeah, just like that's kind of how I feel. But
yeah.
man, yeah, okay. Oh, I've got so
Hot
many
take
songs to
though,
pick. Yeah,
California is a top three Blink 182 album. I
I
don't
kind of
care
feel the
what
same way.
anyone
I
says. I
I
love the
think,
Skiba era. I understand why people don't like it. They are resistant to change and may not like Skiba's voice as much as other people do.
yeah.
But I think California was such a good change from the normal Blink 182
Hmm.
sound that it felt right, like a really good evolution for the sound. Even if Tom wasn't in the band anymore,
Yeah.
Matt did such a
I think
great
Matt did
job.
incredible. And like I get that some people, because they don't like change, they can't listen to certain things, but like I'll
Yeah,
tell you this, there are some songs that Tom wrote that I swear were more written for Matt Skiba
yeah,
in a way, right? Like specifically, I remember seeing I Miss You live, and I know that
yeah,
like he was very cool about it. He knew that when that line came up, he told the crowd to sing it and like
yeah,
lets the crowd do that moment, right? I mean, Skiba does, and I think Tom still does that too. But Skiba was like, I know I'll never hit that like the way that it'll hit for you, so please, kind of thing.
yeah.
But when he does the part about like the webs from all the spiders and stuff like that line is so much more Skiba coded than it is
Yes,
Tom DeLonge. And so like I remember
100%.
seeing that live, and my cousin turned to me and was like, that line has never hit for me, and it did just now. Like, and we were like kind of like teary, and it's like that's
Yeah,
that's how much we love this band. But yeah, I don't know. Like the Skiba era is really great. It's tough because like there's also that thing of there are moments in that album where I go, it's so very clearly John Feldman produced in a way that I don't know if I care for.
yeah,
Because like some songs just don't hit for me. But like California Deluxe overall is great. But I also think that like, that thing of like if you hear the end of one album and then you hear this song next, you assume that that's the progression.
yeah,
I think that if you end Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and you suddenly heard Cynical next, you would almost never, like, you would never in a million years, I think, guess that there were other albums in between that.
yeah,
Because, like, Cynical feels like the progression of,
yeah.
those albums. Um, and I mean, what a fucking killer intro for an album, too. So,
That's true.
Cynical was also on a short list. I didn't put it in. Well, I really did think about it. But, little spoiler, when we do come back, there is a California Deluxe album track on my in this list eventually.
That's
But what I will
it's
end with today, there are so many bands and so many things I would love to get in here some one of these days. But it's just because I talk about them so much, and I do think that they are still an underknown band, and I hope to God they come back soon. And that is Masked Intruder. I think I've just mentioned them so much that I'm like, I want to put a song on there so that I can put people onto them. Because if I just
yeah.
mention them, I don't know if anyone's going to listen. But I think if I'm like, just listen to this song, that might sell you, right? I had two picks from them that I was deciding between, and I'm gonna go with B and E because like I think it really shows like the gimmick of the band, which is that most of the stuff is about we are robbers, we are doing crime, but also like we're in love with people, or also like this is kind of a fun thing that we can do together. And B and E is a song that's just all about like, hey, do you want to get some cool shit? The easiest way to do that is just fucking breaking and entering, dude. Go steal to your heart's content. Just hope that they don't have, like
I love that.
an alarm system or that there's no dogs on watch and you're golden. You can get your kicks in so much shit, right? Like that's one of the lyrics. Like it's so good. Like they're just very clearly like, we're guys in masks because we're robbers. Ah, what are you gonna do? It's good stuff. It's
I love
got a great
this.
energy.
All right, I've never listened to them before, and now I'm going to.
Yeah.
This seems ridiculous, almost like Aquabats-esque.
Yeah, there's and also to real fast kind of pull back a little bit too. Like you were talking about kind of going for like classic punk and stuff like that. Masked Intruder has to me always been somewhat the same sound, but what I think is very fascinating is that like the very first album is like not fully Ramones, right? But it is
Yeah,
very Ramones coded. So much of it is just like doo-wop, which is kind of Ramones was like
yeah,
punkish doo-wop, right? Like a lot of the times. And like they really do that a lot. There's a lot of like three-part harmonies and like right? But like with
I
like a
love that.
punk gimmick. Then the
Yeah,
second album is good. It's not as good in my opinion, but it's like a transitional period.
okay,
Then the third one still kind of has that old sound, but it's like elevated now. There's like more production on it. They're
yeah,
clearly even better musicians than they were before. And like there's just a little bit of like extra genre stuff going. It's a little bit more modern. But like their lead singer has got a killer voice. And they are just very, very clever at what they do. So like that third album really, really hits. And like, you know, if you ever want a good song for like your like mental health, right?
Yeah,
For your mental health album, in that third album, the final track, not of the deluxe one, but of like the regular one, I'll Be
yeah,
Back Someday, or even Free at Last. Those are very like those are songs that I listen to for mental health. Like they are just
nice.
very freeing and like very like positive, and still also lean a little bit on the gimmick of being robbers. And it's so it's like it's just it always is there. It's good.
Nice.
Good stuff.
I like that. You've given me a lot of homework tonight, Colin, and I greatly
You've given me
appreciate
some
that.
too. So
Yes,
I'm that's the joy of doing these kinds of things.
that's true. I like this all started as, let's talk about bands. Let's talk about the first, last, and best album. And I love the evolution of this show to the point where it's like now it's just like a lot of it is just talking. All right, hey, here, I like listening to this. Do you like listening to this? Let's introduce each other to this music.
Hmm.
Here are some bands you should know.
There you go.
See? And it's just like it's so much fun. It really is. And I truly love the show. This also got me to meet you, Colin,
That's true.
because
Yeah, same.
otherwise, I would not know you exist.
Exactly. Yeah, Jeff
That would,
Briggs was going to
that would-
keep us to himself, basically.
yeah, what a bastard,
What a
Jeff Briggs.
selfish guy.
No way,
Come on, Jeff.
Jeff is the hero
That's true. He
because
is the hero.
that's the name of our cover band that we're starting.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, Jeff's the hero. We're gonna cover Sam's the Hero songs. Jeff is not singing them. I am. Because
Oh,
otherwise I will have nothing to do in this cover band other than, be the guy over there that stands there. I might just do that. Like have Jeff sing in the cover band and I'll just kind of like stand to the side and be like, yeah, I'm here too.
I'm here. Just
I'm
dance a little,
here.
you know?
Yeah, that's a dude. It's like
Hype
Ben
man.
Cobb of Mighty Mighty Bosstones. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So all right, well that's it for this week's episode. What's happening next week? That's a great question. I have no idea. I have notes and I have some thoughts and ideas. See, this is the thing. April is March was supposed to be Women's History Month to begin with, and that did not happen. Um, April, I have no real plans. However, I do have some plans coming up for May, June, and July through September. And I'll just go ahead since we got a little bit of time right here. I'll go ahead and explain what I'm planning on doing. Um, in May, I am planning on doing kind of like a blockbuster summer month where we'll be discussing soundtracks explicitly, like individual soundtracks. I know Chris True is already called the soundtrack for Garden State. I definitely want
Ooh,
to talk about the Blues Brothers soundtrack,
yeah.
which is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a
We
good one.
got Gary from Backyard Superheroes, who's going to be making his first appearance, and because I may have to expand it. Sorry, Gary. I may have to bring other people into this because he wants to talk Star Wars, and there are way too many people that want to talk Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was hoping to just do like a straight roundtable episode on John Williams and
Hmm.
incorporate Star Wars into it, but I may have to kind of set that to a
Set
different
that
episode
aside. Yeah.
because doing a roundtable episode about John Williams, it is more than just Star Wars. He has
Yeah.
touched so many films over the years. Uh,
If I may pitch one last one, like if you don't have a
please,
fourth and final one,
please.
my co-host from Timeline Scavengers and I could easily talk about Guardians of the Galaxy
We're doing it.
because that's a Marvel connection there.
Moonlight Scavengers will be making their full uh, introduction into the first, last, and best canon with Colin and his co-host doing
Jamie, yeah,
Guardians. Jamie,
yeah, she would love
doing.
to do this.
She is definitely doing it. I don't know you, Jamie, but welcome to the canon. We're talking Guardians of the Galaxy because those are some bad soundtracks.
Hmm.
Um, the month of June, we'll be doing more of like a summer flair kind of episodes. Foster will be making her return. And we're going to talk about Dashboard Confessional. Um, maybe some OAR. I really haven't gotten too deep into that yet. And then we'll take about a 2 week break around 4th of July. Um, and that's when we will jump on the road to Supernova. Um, I want to do at least one or two bands you should know episodes. Hopefully we can get Flying Raccoon Suit in by then. Um, I have had some slight conversations with Heather Augustin, who is a writer and instructor at I think is Purdue University. Um, and she is just an incredible and thoughtful woman uh, who has specialized in the history of ska. So
That's awesome.
I'm hoping that we can get her on an episode and just have a conversation about the history, like starting in Jamaica, going to the UK, and then finally here in the US, and obviously in Mexico and Japan as well.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping we can do that. Um, Obviously, our Amnesia draft featuring bands of Supernova, and I don't know. We'll see what the hell else we're doing. There are quite a few plans and ideas in the works. I, Once they are more solidified, I will start making those announcements. But these next few months, if we can get through April, these next few months are going to be very busy and very crazy. So, but that's how I do things here on First and Last of Best. So, once again, Colin, thank you again for stepping in on
Thanks
late
for having me.
notice. This was a lot of fun, and we definitely need to do this particular episode again. Um, we'll see you next week. Hopefully, I'll have something figured out by then. If not, maybe I won't see you next week. Who the hell knows? Um,